Hello folks, this is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on February 14th, 2018. I have 7 strategies with my game Decoding the Powerball. So strategy number 1, the game card color code. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, what you're looking at is what I call the game card. This represents all 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize with the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage, and the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 1, 13, 27, 41, and 59. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list. And then I take the last 3 drawings of numbers and I transfer these numbers over to the game card as red numbers. Then I do the same thing with orange, then green, blue, and purple. I have 5 different colors, one to represent each one of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. So for this drawing here, I have 13 red numbers, 16 orange, 17 green, 10 blue, and 13 purple. And these colors, the amount of colors change with every single drawing. Okay, so over here to the right, this 202. This represents how many color code drawings I kept track of so far. And these are the color code drawings right here. Okay, so out of this 202 drawings, 107 have come up a 3-color combination. 73 have come up a 4-color combination. 19 have come up a 2-color combination. And only 3 times out of 202 drawings have all 5 colors come up together, okay? And never has it been just one color. Okay, so this number right here, this number 3, this tells me how many colors just came up in the last drawing. So you can see that there's 2 blue numbers, 2 red numbers, and a green. So that's 3 colors total. Okay, so since hardly ever do all 5 colors come up, the strategy is try to guess which one of these colors won't be coming up and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so for this drawing here, I'm going to guess that no blue numbers will be coming up. And the reason why is because blue just came up with 2 numbers in the last drawing. And before that, it had 4 numbers, okay? And before that, it was 3 and 3, okay? And it's just been really hot lately, okay? So I just think that it's going to cool down, and I'm just going to guess that no blue numbers will be coming up in the next drawing. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate these blue numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I'm going to speed things up, and I'm going to scroll to the right, and this is what the game card looks like so far with no blue numbers to it. Okay, so when I block out a number like this means that I'm not even going to consider this number when I'm picking what I think would be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so one more thing that I'm doing is I'm spending $3 on a Powerball ticket. That includes the Power Play. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm betting $3 that none of these blue numbers will come up in the next drawing. Okay, so if I'm correct and none of these blue numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. Strategy number 2, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers, okay? And how this works is the master for all the numbers are up at the very top, okay? And over to this far right are the numbers that just came up. Again, it was the 1, 13, 27, 41, and 59. Okay, so that turns out to be a 5-group combination. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this down so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so what you're going to see is that there's 7 groups here total. Okay, and in group number 1 holds the numbers of 1 through 9. And then it's the teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Again, for 7 groups total. Okay, so there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so 2 of these groups won't be able to have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so how this works and how I use this is this big square right here. This is good for 5 drawings. Okay, so I like to keep track of every 5 drawings because I like to see how many hits are in this 5 drawings. Okay, so if there's a lot of hits within these 5 drawings, like right here, well, maybe there won't be so many hits in the following 5. Okay, or vice versa. Okay, and another thing too is that it helps me speed down to see how many drawings there have been. Okay, so I can look from here down to here and say, okay, well, that's 10 drawings. This is number 7, 5, 4, or whatnot. Okay, so another thing how I use this is I could click on just a certain number, okay, and see when that number has come up and what color it has been. Okay, so like this 32, I could just look at, or the 33, I could just highlight this 33 and I can see that there's been a lot of red here. Okay, and as I keep on going down, I can see that it was blue at one point, but maybe it's never been green. Okay, so when it hits the green area, maybe I might consider that 33. Okay, so that's just another way that I use it. Okay, so again, I want to guess what group won't be coming up in the next drawing. And I'm going to guess that no 50 numbers will be coming up. And the reason why is because you can see that it's just so condensed right through here. Okay, so it's been really, really hot. As far as 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. You know, for 40 drawings, it's been just really, really hot. So I think it's going to cool down. So I expect no 50 numbers to be coming up in the next drawing. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate the 50 numbers off of the game card. So I'm going to pump this back up again. I'm going to go to the game card. And I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far. Again, with no blue numbers from the color code and now no 50 numbers from the individual numbers. Okay, so I'm taking that $3 bet and I'm parlaying it with the color code and the individual numbers and with a bunch of other ones. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next strategy, and that's strategy number 3, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 1. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 1 numbers. Okay, so basically what I did is I took all the numbers, the white ball numbers, and I divided it into 4 different groups. Okay, and I put colors to these groups. So when the 5 white winning Powerball lands within these groups, I record how many landed in each respected color. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the Powerball homepage. And again, the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 1, 13, 27, 41, and 59. Okay, so you can see that the 1 is in the red and the 27 is in the red. So down here in the red, where I keep the stats, you can see that I put a 2 here. Okay, and 13 is in the blue, so here in the blue, I put a 1 down here. Okay, and then in the orange, you can see that there was 2 as well. Okay, the 41 and the 59. Okay, so that means that there was no winning Powerball numbers in the green area. Okay, so I put a 0 down here. Okay, so the strategy is for this group 1 is try to guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Okay, so if I could have correctly guessed that none of these green numbers were going to come up in the last drawing, I could have eliminated all these numbers. Okay, and really gave myself a better chance at picking the correct 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so less numbers to choose from is better. Okay, so again, the key thing is to correctly guess what numbers aren't going to come up. Okay, so one more thing that I want to just point out here is my whole theory on this is that there's 69 white ball numbers total. Only 5 can come up as winners, so that means 64 numbers won't be able to come up. Okay, so for me, I just think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. Okay, so this, if you think about it like that, this is what I'm trying to do is eliminate numbers to give myself a better chance at picking the 5 white ones. Okay, so what I did here is I created 15 of these option cards. Okay, and that's to give me as many options as possible to pick this where this 0 is going to be. Okay, so for my first pick, I'm going to pick that option card number 2. No red numbers will be coming up. Okay, so here's option card number 2 out of 15. Okay, so the reason why I'm picking this one is up here, this 42. This represents how many zeros have come up in this column. Okay, so here's 42. Over here in the blue is 57, 59, and 55. So since this red is so far behind, I'm just going to guess that there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, and if a 0 does come here, that means none of these red numbers came up in the drawing. Okay, so that's what I'm going to guess. So I'm going to eliminate these red numbers off of the game card. Again, because I don't think that any of these are going to come up in the drawing. Okay, so as I go to the game card, I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far. So you can see that I eliminated all these red numbers. Okay, so again, what I'm doing is I'm keeping track of groups of numbers and just trying to predict whether they're going to come up or not come up in the drawing. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1. And my next pick is going to be option card number 4, no orange numbers. Okay, so if you wanted to use this game yourself, if you wanted to use my game, you could look at this option card number 4 and you say, well, Tom, I don't think that the orange numbers is going to have a 0 here. I think it's the green one. Okay, so, you know, we're all going to look at this a little bit different. Okay, it's kind of like a football pool. You know, I think the Browns are going to win, and you say, no, I don't think so. You know, so it's one of those type of things. Okay, so for this drawing, I'm going to guess that no orange numbers will be coming up. So I'm going to go to the game card, and I'm going to eliminate these orange numbers off of the game card. And again, because I don't think these numbers will be coming up in the next drawing. Okay, so I'm going to scroll over to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far. Okay, so I'm showing you step by step on how I use my game in case you want to use it yourself. Okay, and you can look at this and you can say, no, the 22 came up, so you shouldn't have eliminated those orange numbers. You should have went with something else. Okay, so again, that's how it works. So I'm going to go back to group 1, and my last pick is going to be option card number 9, no green numbers. Okay, so again, having all these different option cards is going to give you plenty of picks to decide where that 0 is going to be. Okay, so again, I think the 0 is going to be right here. So I don't think that any of these green numbers will be coming up in the next drawing. So I'm going to eliminate those green numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right. And you can see that I'm whittling down these numbers step by step. Okay, so if I'm correct with all my picks and none of those numbers come up that I picked that won't come up, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers will be within one of these numbers that are still highlighted on the board. Okay, so I'm all done picking from group 1, so I'm going to go off to the next strategy, and that's strategy number 4, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 2. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 2 numbers. Okay, so much like group 1 where I divided things into 4 different groups, here I divided things into 8 different groups. Okay, so it's kind of like the same thing. I have 15 of these option cards. Okay, but the big thing here is that there's 8 groups and there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so 3 of these groups won't be able to have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so how this works is I'm just going to pump this up just a little bit. Okay, so here, these red numbers, okay, this is for the stats for the red. Okay, so you can see this 0. That means that none of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in that red area. And of course, this 2 right here means that 2 out of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area. Okay, so I like to keep track of every 5 drawings because it shows me a majority of things. Okay, so if there's 3 or more zeros, I color it blue for cold. If there's 3 or more hits, I color it red for hot. Okay, so going through, since the lottery is so random, okay, nothing can stay hot forever, nothing can stay cold forever. Okay, so as I look at this, this gives me a visual now. Okay, so if I see something red, okay, so that means this has been really hot, a lot of hits. Well, again, it can't stay hot forever. So eventually there's going to be some zeros here, some misses. Okay, so what I'm going to do is my first pick is going to be option card number 3, no red numbers. Okay, so again, I have 15 of these option cards. Okay, so this is option card number 3, and I don't think that any of these red numbers will be coming up. Okay, so here's the stats for them, and as I go down through, you can see that things got really, really hot. Okay, so now I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, so again, I don't think that any of these red numbers are going to come up, so I'm going to get rid of them as a group. Okay, and how this works is that you can see the 69 right here. Okay, this is where the 53 is supposed to be as well. Okay, and it is here. Okay, it shares this square with the 69. Okay, so as I go back to the game card, you can see that the 53 is off to the side here, and the 69 is over here. Okay, so the reason why I have some separation like this is because of the color code. Okay, so the 53 might be a certain color, it might be different from the 69. Okay, that's why I don't have them both crammed into here. Okay, so I need some separation to have the different colors. Okay, but as you look at it from here, okay, I want you to look at it as a group of numbers. Okay, so you're getting rid of this group, and the whole group includes the 53 and the 69. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. So I'm going to go to the game card, and I'm going to scroll down, and you can see option card 2, group 2, option card number 3, no red numbers. Okay, so you can see that there's no red here anymore. Okay, so with my game here, it does take a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get it, you know, you can start picking your numbers probably within 10-15 minutes. Okay, so once you get the hang of things. All right, so I'm gonna go to my next pick, and that's option card number 4, no red numbers. Okay, so here's 4, and again, here's the stats for the red, and as I go down through, you can see that things got a little bit hot, and now I think that there's going to be a 0 here. Okay, so I don't think that any of these red numbers are going to come up in the next drawing, so I want to get rid of them. I'm going to eliminate them off of the game card. Okay. Okay, so this is what the game card looks like so far. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2, and my next pick is option card number 5, no brown numbers. Okay, so here's 5, and here's the stats for brown, and as I go through, you can see that things got pretty hot, so now I think there's going to be a 0 right here, so I don't think that any brown numbers are going to come up, so I want to get rid of them. Okay, so I'm going to go to the game card, which represents the 69 white ball numbers, and I'm going to eliminate those brown numbers. Okay, so you can see that there's nothing here anymore. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2, and my last pick is going to be option card number 9, no orange numbers. Okay, so here's 9, okay, and here's the orange stats, and as I go down through, you see that things got pretty hot through here, so now I think there's going to be a 0 right here, so I'm going to get rid of these orange numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll to the left, and this is what the game card looks like so far. Okay, so I'm all done picking numbers, okay, that I think will not be coming up. Okay, so I started with 69 numbers, and now I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. Okay, so again, if I'm correct with all my picks, and all those numbers that I picked that won't be coming up don't come up, then again, the 5 white winning Powerball numbers will be highlighted here with the numbers that are still left on the board. Okay, so to pinpoint what those numbers are, I'm going to turn to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 5, the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. Okay, so again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so there's going to be a majority of either odd numbers or even numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. Okay, so how this works is this 246, this represents how many drawings I kept track of so far. And that's since October 7th, 2015. That's when the Powerball lottery went from 59 numbers to 69 numbers, okay? And out of this 246 drawings, 124 drawings have been the majority of odd numbers. 122 have been the majority of even numbers. Okay, so how I like to do this is I like to highlight the ones where the majority was. Okay, so for this last drawing, you can see that there was a 5 odds. So as I go back to the Powerball homepage, you can see that ones and odd, 13, 27, 41, and 59, all 5 were odd numbers. Okay, so this is how I record it. Okay, so here you can see that I got divided it into 5 drawings, and out of this 5 drawings, the majority was odd numbers, 4 drawings to 1. Okay, so that's how you read this. So if there's been a bunch of evens or odds in a row, well, eventually it's going to be the other. Okay, so for this next 5, maybe it will be evens because the last 2 5 drawing things were both majority of odds. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so as I head on over, I got high and low, and of course the red is high numbers and the blue is low. So even though that the 67 and the 65 and the 66 are in blue, when those numbers come up, even though they're high numbers, I record it in the low section. Okay, so it only matters on how you record it into the stats. Okay, so out of this 246 drawings, you can see that 125 were the majority to the blue, the low side, and 121 were to the high. Okay, so for this next drawing, I think that the majority will be to the high side. Okay, and for this last one, I think the majority is going to be over to the evens. Okay, so far evens and high, and over here I got left and right. Okay, and I think the majority is going to be to the right side. And the last thing that I have is this red and blue. Okay, you can see that the red has been really dominant over the blue. Okay, so I'm not even sure what's going to happen here, so I'm not even going to I'm not even going to guess at this one. Okay, so as I head over, this is the only thing I do have for the Powerball itself. Okay, so this is for this red number. Okay, so in this column here, blue means that it's a low number, 1 to 13, and red means that it's high, 14 to 26. Okay, so there's only 26 red numbers to begin with. Okay, so I just split them right down the middle. Okay, in this column here, a red number means that it's odds, and a blue means that it's evens. Okay, so as I look at this, the colors just really stick out, and it's easier for me to try to guess what color it's going to be, and that kind of helps give me some separation here. Okay, so for this next drawing, I think that this is going to be red, so I think that's going to be an odd number, and over here I think that this will be red as well. Okay, so I think the Powerball will be a high odd number. Okay, so as I go back to the game card, I'm going to scroll down, and again the 50-50 picks, I think that the majority will be even numbers. The majority will be to the high side, and the majority will be to the right side. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next strategy. Strategy number 6, picking the numbers I hope will hit from groups 1 and 2. Okay, so I'm just going to pick from group 2 here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to option card number 1. Again, I have 15 of these option cards, and they all look the same as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. Okay, so that means that there's 15 of these red areas, 15 blue, 15 orange, and so on. Okay, so I'm just going to head back to option card number 1 here. Okay, so I have an overview of this group 2. And I keep that right in here. Okay, so this overview kind of looks like this right here, where you can see the red numbers here. Okay, you can see that the last drawing out of all 15 option cards in group 2, there was six hits and 9 misses. Okay, so the key number here is 8. If there's 8 or more misses, throughout those 15 option cards, then I color this blue for cold. If there's 8 or more hits, I color it red for hot. Okay, so I'm able to look at this and say, well, I think that this is going to be red, or I think that this is going to be blue. Now, if I think it's going to be blue, then I think that there's going to be a lot of misses throughout this certain area. Okay, so for this one here, I think that this is going to be red in the purple area, so I'm expecting a lot of hits. Okay, so as I go to group 2 here, you can see that here's the first option card number 1, and here's the purple area from the 5 to the 61. Okay, so as I go to the game card, I want to see what's left, and what's left is the 13. Okay, so as I scroll over, you can see that this represents option card number 1, and the only number left is the 13. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Okay, so option card number 2, I'm only looking at the purple areas here. So you can see that purple is from 33 to the 40. So as I go back to the game card, what's left is the 38 and the 40. So I wrote that up here, 38 and 40. Okay, so option card number 3, there was nothing left on the board, so I put a 0. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the strategies. Okay, strategy number 7, picking my numbers. Okay, so the numbers that I'm going to go with for this drawing are the 27, the 38, the 40, the 64, and the 67. Okay, so with this certain combination, this will give me 9 hits and 6 misses in that purple area. So as I go back to the overview, again, I think this is going to be a 9 and this is going to be a 6. Okay, so since it's more than 8, it's going to be red. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So again, the numbers that I'm going to go with are the 27, the 38, the 40, 64, and 67. Okay, so when it comes to the 50-50 picks, again, I wanted more even numbers than odd. So you can see that the 38, 40, and 64 would give me that majority. And I wanted more numbers to the high side than the low side. And again, the 38, 40, and 64 will do that. Okay, and I wanted more numbers to the right side. And again, the 38, 40, and 64 would give me that majority to the right side. Okay, so that's about it. Okay, so if you're interested in my game, you can go to my webpage, okay, at www.patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball, or you can email me personally at decodingthepowerball@gmail.com. I'm sorry, that's just decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Okay, and again, that's decodingpowerball@gmail.com. All right, folks, if you like the content of my channel, then please subscribe. Okay, and as always, best of luck with your picks.